In this video, I'll show you how to create sections or modules and organize those sections in your Moodle course shell to maximize your course effectiveness. If we simply add content to the Moodle shell, very quickly we'll have a long scroll of items that are difficult to navigate and can become very overwhelming. So before you add content, you want to think about the structure that you're going to use in order to help your students navigate all the materials that you are using. Moodle can be broken up into sections or modules. Sometimes these are referred to as topics in Moodle, but essentially they're blocks of content that have a label at the top of each of them. One of the most popular structures for students or among students is a weekly structure. So 1 week, one module or block of content for each week in the course. That's a common approach, but you can certainly take others. Once you've decided how you're going to make the larger structure of your course, you want to think about how you're going to organize the material within each of those blocks of content. You may have lots of different kinds of materials and activities for students, and it helps them a great deal to put them into a predictable order that they can refer to and know exactly how to handle the content. So I'm going to take you through the steps of adding the modules to the course and organizing those modules in an effective way. Again, I'm going to show you a suggestion. You can use the same technical technique to create any structure that you would like for your course. First, I'll turn editing on. And next, I'm going to create one of the sections or modules. And in order to do that, I have to click this Add Topics link. And right now, I'm only going to add one section. I'm going to show you a trick for not having to keep remaking the labels that organize each section. We'll make them once, and then we'll add them into all of the sections that you create for your course. So I'm just right now adding one topic. And again, in Moodle, that's the word that is used interchangeably with module and section. You'll notice that in Moodle, anything that you create drops down to the bottom of the list or of the items. So here I have a new content module or block section that's called Topic 1. And what I've decided to do is I've looked at all of the different kinds of materials that I have for my students, and I want to give them a consistent structure in each week. So I've decided to make 3 labels within my course section. One label is going to direct students to read or review or listen or watch the material under it. And then the second label is going to direct students to complete activities. And then finally, I'm going to have a label for extras, for extra material. Sometimes I give a different, a video that shows a different way to explain a concept, for example, or an article that students might be interested in, but they're not required to read. You can decide on, again, how you're going to organize these modules or blocks of content in a way that makes sense for you. The important thing for students is that you organize every block the same way, because then it's easy for students to work through the material and they have some expectation of what they need to do every week throughout the course. So I'm going to start now by clicking on Add an Activity or Resource, and as I mentioned before, I'm going to add a label. That's how we can get these separate headings within the modules or sections. So I'm adding an activity or resource, and then I'm clicking Label, and I'll get an editor up. This is an editor, and I'm going to just type in, as I mentioned before, so now I've just typed in the words I want in my label, and I'm going to highlight them, and I'm going to bold them. I don't use a lot of different sizes within the blocks. I don't have a lot of different sizes of headings, etc., because that also can be visually overwhelming for students. So here I'm just using a simple bolding. If you want to use different sizes in a label, you'll click on this drop-down menu next to the A, and they give you several size options. Once I've created this label, I'm just going to scroll down and put Save and Return to Course. And you'll see when I scroll down that there is my label. I'm going to repeat that process again 2 more times. The first time I'll show you, and the second time I'll pause the video. Add an activity or resource, click Label, type your text into the editor, highlight your text and choose the formatting that you want, scroll down, and hit Save and Return to Course. So I've created the 3 labels that I'm going to be using in each of the sections or modules in my course. Now I'm going to make a copy of these labels that I can use in all of the sections. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to use a block in the navigation pane that's called the sharing cart. And I'll show you how to activate or install the sharing cart in your shell. So over on the left-hand side of your Moodle shell, you have your administration panel, and under that navigation, and you should have a block called Add a Block. You're going to click on the arrows, scroll down, and choose Sharing Cart. The sharing cart allows us to copy material from one course to another, but it also can be used as a shortcut to copy and paste material within a course. So you can see that now my sharing cart is active, it's visible, and you only have to turn the sharing cart on one time. It will stay in your course forever until you decide you don't want to use it, but you do have to install it in each course that you're using. So here's the material that I want to copy. This is what I want to be able to put in each one of my shells. With the sharing cart, there's a small basket icon next to anything that you can copy. So you can see up here all the content that I've added into my course here. There's a small basket that allows me to copy the material and then move it somewhere else. It doesn't take it away from where it is. It makes a copy of it. I want to copy all of this material here into the sharing cart. So I'm going to click the basket, and then I'm going to confirm that I want that material in the sharing cart. And now you can see that it's here. There is a section here that has been added to the sharing cart where this material has been copied. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the other sections for all of the weeks in my course. So I'm going to click on Add Topics, and I'm going to type in here 15 sections. I often add an extra. Sometimes usually I have my courses have weekly sections and then a couple of extra sections to hold course info like the syllabus or handouts that are frequently referred to or anything of that nature. So you can always add or delete a section later, but just to get myself started, I'm going to put the number of sections and click Add Topics. And now you'll see, here's my topic 1, and in that topic 1 I have the labels. Now I'm going to go ahead and rename each of these sections, and I'm going to name them for the week. So here it says topic 2, but I have this topic 1 is tied up right now with the labels that I already used. So I'll simply click on topic 2 and I'm going to rename it. And as I mentioned, the research shows that students like the weekly structure. So I'm going to put week 1. Sometimes you can add or enhance that by indicating what the topic is that you'll be working on or the date, whatever makes you most comfortable. And this will be the label for my first week. Then I'm going to click on the pencil for the next one. And this time I'm just going to say week 2, and I'll come back and enhance later. Notice here, in order to make the name change, that you have to hit the Enter key on your keyboard. So I'm going to go ahead now and rename all of the topics in my course. Now that I've added the names to all of my sections, I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste these labels into each of the section. And I'm going to do that using the sharing cart that I mentioned before. Remember that we've already copied this material. You can see it right here. And now I'm going to go ahead and click on the Paste button. And when I do, you'll see that an arrow appears with a dotted rectangle anywhere that I can paste that material into the course. So I want to get these labels, a copy of them, here into week 1. So I'm going to click on the arrow. And then it's going to ask me, do I want to keep the current section title or change it? We want to keep the current section title. We just made all those sections, so we don't want to change them. I'll click Continue. And now I have under my week 1, I have all of my labels in place. And I'm going to go ahead and repeat that process again. Here is week 2. I want my labels there. I'm going to go to the sharing cart, to the Copy to Course button. I'm going to scroll down to where I want the material to appear, which will be right here. I'll click within the rectangle, and I'll confirm that I want to keep the current course section title, and hit Continue. So this is how we can quickly, without having to make the labels over and over again, add the labels into the sections of the course. So now that I have created all of the sections and added the labels to them, I don't need this section. So in order to get rid of it, I'm going to go over to the Edit button, click, and delete topic. That's how you can delete a section of your Moodle course shell. So here we are, and we've created this structure for every week that's consistent and predictable, and that will make all of these materials much more easy for the students to navigate. I also have to consider, when I am adding my materials, what I call them. We want to try to help students understand what the materials are and how they contribute to your course materials. So we want a naming structure, a naming convention that we can apply consistently throughout the course. So let's take, for example, this item that's called documentation quiz. Now, this is an item that I want my students to complete, and so I'm going to first move it down into this module of my course. So if you have added content and you need to move it somewhere else, you're going to hover your mouse over the cross to the left of the item, click and hold, and drag the item to the bottom of the block where you want it to appear. Then, again, you're going to hover your mouse over the cross, click down, and drag the item under the heading where you want it to appear. So you can see here I have my item entered into the complete section. Now I'm going to rename it with a more predictable naming convention. So I'm going to call it Quiz 1, and then I can use the topic of the quiz to remind myself, but if I use Quiz 1, it helps my students understand this is the first quiz, then the second, then the third. That numerical organization is very helpful for students, so they can sort of look back and see what they missed. So now I've moved that quiz down into my complete section, and here I have a discussion board. And I'm going to go ahead up here and choose the discussion 1. I'll click, drag down, and again, I'm going to use a more consistent, I'm just going to be consistent with my naming. So I'm going to capitalize here. Okay, and then again hit enter. So I'm building up this information, and I'm going to also take the homework drop box, and here it is, homework drop box, and this is again something I want completed. So I'm going to go ahead, and here I want to begin my numbering convention also. So I'm going to click on the pencil, and I'm going to call it Homework 1 Dropbox. And that way, in fact, I'm going to capitalize to be consistent even with capitalization. Repeating any kind of structure helps the students understand that there's nothing different that they have to be worried about, that this material will follow the same overall expectations that you have all semester long. So that's one of the reasons that we want to keep it in the same consistent order. Here I have a handout, and I am going to move that down, to the Read, Watch, and Review Listen section. And again, I'm going to rename it. This will not change the name of your original Word file. It just changes the name on Moodle. So I'm going to follow that consistently here by moving some more materials down and giving you a look at what the module will look like when it's been organized this way. I've gone ahead and reorganized and renamed the materials that I had in the shell. Notice that I have labeled each one for the type of item that it is. This is a slideshow, and it's the week 1 lecture. Here are handouts, and then here's a video. I also add to the name of the video the running time of it, because I've found that students are more likely to watch videos when they know how long they're going to be. Then I have my complete section. This is for the material that students have to actually do something, the required homework. And then here, and a quiz. And then here are the extras. And notice that I have labeled them extra so that the students don't think they have to complete or review this material, so that they understand that it's supplemental material to help them. So this is a much more organized way, a much more helpful way for students to see what can be an overwhelming amount of work. Now over here, one other strategy that I use to help students better navigate the material is that I indent each item under the label. So here for the slideshow, under the Edit button, I will click Move Right. And I will do that for all of the items. And what I'm trying to do here is create almost an outline structure. And I'll do that for all of the sections. So you may remember that when we started without the separate sections or topics and without the labels, we just had a big long list of material that was sort of randomly organized and randomly named. And now we've moved to this, much more structured and predictable for students. And right now we're seeing, because editing is on, we see all of this extra commands and options. If I go up and click Turn Editing Off, I get a preview of what the course looks like for students. It's actually not exactly what the course looks like for students. In order to preview it in that way, I'll go up under your name and click and choose Switch Role To. And I'm going to click on Student, and now I can see it as it is visible to the students. And if I want to go back and work again on my course, I need to come up to where it says right now I'm a student, up at my name, and return to my normal role. And that brings me back to all of my tools. I'll turn editing back on, and that gives me access to my course. So we've come a long way with the course shell here as far as structure and organization goes, but this is still a very long scroll for students to work through. In my next video, I'm going to show you how to change that structure from this to this, the collapsed topics structure for Moodle pages. In collapsed topics, the material appears under links. When a student clicks a link, the material expands downward and clicks the link again to collapse it. It's possible to have as many links open or topics open as is desired. I'll show how to apply the collapsed topics format, which is much more streamlined and easy for students to navigate. I'll demonstrate that in my next video.